Hello everybody and welcome back to yet another video on the Twisted and the Twilight DLC. Today we are going over Clan Moulder, their faction mechanics, new units, everything new you are getting with the Skaven. If you didn't catch my previous video, it was on the Heralds of Ariel, that shows you everything new that you're getting with the Wood Elves. And before that I did a video on the Wood Elf rework which shows you everything that's changing with the base Wood Elves. Then you might want to go check out those videos. There is a playlist linked in the description which has every single video that I've made on the Twisted and the Twilight DLC. And I'll also put a link to those videos in the card right now. Also, if you want to see the rest of the coverage that I have on this DLC, I'm doing a Dryka breakdown tomorrow, and on the 1st I'm doing a review of this DLC so you can find out if it's actually worth your hard-earned shekels. So be sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell notification so that you don't miss any of that, and I would appreciate it very much. Without further ado, let's get into Clan Moulder. First off, we of course have the faction effects. Now, choosing the faction adds Frozen to the list of suitable climates. It adds 10% to the hit points of all characters. It grants immunity to mountain attrition for all armies, and minus 50% construction cost for breeding stock, pits of the packmasters, force feeding chambers, and laboratory buildings. Throughout the Unclean's Lord effects grant minus 20% upkeep and plus 10 armor for wolf rats, rat ogres, mutant rat ogres, brood horrors, and hell pit abomination units, as well as granting himself regeneration. In the Mortal Empires, his starting units are a mutant rat ogre, some wolf rats, and some rat ogres. In the Vortex campaign, his starting units are a brood horror, some rat ogres, and some wolf rats. In Mortal Empires, he starts at Hell Pit, which is in the very northeast of the map. And in Vortex, he starts at Atarak, which is in the central north of the map near the Dark Elves. Now, of course, you know that the faction mechanic for Clan Moulder is the Flesh Laboratory, and let's break down how it works. So the main resource that you're using in the laboratory is mutagen, and it is gained by claiming monsters from the growth vat and can be bought with gold once you've reached a certain level of the lab. It is used on mutating units, and there are a massive number of different mutations / augments that you can go for, and more are unlocked as you progress through the campaign and use the laboratory more and more. Each time you mutate a unit, there is a chance it will become unstable, and once it is, the chance for it to get worse goes up until eventually you have basically bloated corpses on the field. Now, the secondary currency that is within the Flesh Laboratory is growth juice, and this stuff is as disgusting as it sounds. It is gained by fighting battles and recycling units. It's a new mechanic that is introduced with Clan Moulder, and it's basically a way to get rid of units that you don't need anymore without just simply disbanding them. So the unit has to actually be unstable. You can't do this on just any old unit since that would be pretty broken. You should just recruit them and then just instantly recycle them to spam a load of growth juice. But if your unit has become unstable, you can then send it to the growth vat for a bunch of growth juice and it will fill up the vat. And if you want to know which of your units are unstable, you can tell by looking at the little ring that's around them when they're mutated. It has a little number in it for how many mutations they've got, and the color around it is what tiers of mutations that they have. So it can be green, blue, or purple. If it's red, that means they're unstable. If you hover over it, it'll show that there are some debuffs. Now, growth juice is used on one thing only, and it is claiming batches of monsters. Now, each batch comes with a assortment of units, which includes a guaranteed type of a certain monster. It also gets you lots of mutation and a little bit of food. Now, you can claim it as soon as it gets to 500 growth juice, and that will get you guaranteed wolf rats. If you leave it to 650, you can get guaranteed rat ogres, at 800 guaranteed brood horrors, at 900 guaranteed mutant rat ogres, and at 1000 you can get a hell pit abomination. So if you want for your first batch, you can wait till you get 1000, and then you can get a hell pit abomination by like turn 15 or something ridiculous, which is kind of overpowered. Now, it is worth noting, if you want to min-max this and get the most mutagen that you possibly can, you are going to want to empty it every single time you get to 500. But if you're really in it for the monsters, then I'd just wait until you get to whatever tier it is that you want. And you may be wondering how you actually recruit these units. When you're in friendly territory, just click this icon down at the bottom here. It looks similar to the one that Marcus Wolfhat has when he is recruiting the Empire reinforcements. But you just click on that and it shows you everything that you can recruit. You know, a bunch of Skaven slaves and some of the monsters. It's very easy and it's instantaneous, and you only have to pay upkeep on them. Now, as for his campaign goals, starting with Mortal Empires, his short victory condition is to build the depths of Hell Pit building, claim 4 batches from the vat, and upgrade the Flesh Lab 3 times of any of the following: mutagen buyback, unclean energy bar, and harvest organs. Now, for the long campaign victory on the Mortal Empires, he needs to build the depths of Hell Pit and the laboratory. He needs to claim 8 batches from the growth vat, and he needs to pretty much totally upgrade the Flesh Laboratory. So this campaign will keep you busy for a very long time. Now, in the Vortex campaign, for the few of you that do actually like to play that, which if you haven't, by the way, it's really fun. It's not as big, but I find it very entertaining for a quick little campaign. Anyway, their victory conditions in the Vortex campaign is to, of course, destroy the Heralds of Ariel, since, the Lord Pack, they need to fight you, it's just kind of how it works, and they need to win the final battle, which is called the Ultimate Harvest. Now for the new units that are coming with Clan Moulder. First of all, of course, we have Throt the Unclean himself, who is the leader of the Clan Moulder faction, the Master Mutator. Everyone knows this guy. He's a legend. He's a really strong lord for front lines, as well as being used to target enemy large units or mounted lords, since he does have that anti-large damage when he's just a foot lord. That being said, though, he does great damage even without the bonus, so can fight most things and get on quite well. He also has regen, which is always a top tier ability to have. It just means that if your guy starts to run away or you want to pull him out for a little bit, He'll be constantly regenerating health, which means that when he goes back in, he'll be stronger than when he came out. He also buffs all nearby units with a variety of things, and of course he can get a Brood Horror mount, which is also one of the new units. As for his skills, he has all of these standard Skaven Lord trees. His unique Moulder tree, however, has some bonuses that are specific to his faction and playstyle, and I think they're pretty cool. So it's definitely worth checking out. Now, the other legendary character coming with Throt is Gorich, and as I've mentioned several times before, this guy is a Norscan berserker in the body of a mutated rat ogre. Heavily mutated, heavily modified. He's like basically the Robocop of mutant rat ogres. It's ridiculous. He's more machine than a man, or supposed than a rat. Basically, his backstory is he once served Archeon but lost a fight to Empire Artillery. All been there, big rips for my brother. And he was sent to Clan Moulder to be experimented on as punishment until he, well, became the form that we see here today. He deals a stupid amount of damage and is most effective versus infantry, so make sure to throw him into your front lines alongside some Skaven slaves to eat up any damage that comes his way. You can throw this guy into the middle of pretty much any infantry in the game and he will come out on top. He's also pretty fast and tough, so don't be afraid to send him all over the map to take on a variety of targets. He's unlocked via a quest battle that becomes available pretty early on. It's not very difficult, so you can get him very early and use him for the majority of your campaign. His skill tree makes him decent on the campaign map and in battle, but let's be honest, a guy like this, he belongs in the fight. You don't want him doing assassination missions. That's just a waste. His intact mind tree is pretty strong and unique to him, and the frenzied assault is the same, with some really badass pickups all through that. Now, the final character that we went with Clan Moulder is the brand new Packmaster hero type. These guys are support heroes that buff nearby units with passive regen, which is pretty great. They do have to be Clan Moulder monsters, so it's not too overpowered, but just having him there makes it so that your Clan Moulder monsters all get regeneration, which is bananas. On top of this, they can also use special abilities on Moulder monsters to enhance them even further, and in combat, they kind of behave like Tretch in a sense. They have a good weapon strength and a bonus versus large, but without a mount, they don't really have the mass to take on larger units. Maybe with the new bracing and knockdown changes, this will change. But still, I think you're going to want to put them onto a mount. And it's very fortunate because their mount is the Brood Horror. And it's stupidly fast, does a bunch of damage, but I don't want to talk too much about that because I want to tell you about that when I come to the Brood Horror unit itself. As for their skills, in the campaign they are pretty basic, so want to be used in armies pretty much all the time. The carrot and the stick line is interesting, even allowing the hero to change how they affect the army that they are in. They also get 2 summon abilities of the brand new Wolf Rat units, which is pretty ridiculous. As if this game didn't have enough summon abilities, they just go and give this guy 2 more just to him, and he gets 2 uses of each. It's bananas. And finally, the shot call line is also cool and unique to them, and of course helps him buff Moulder even more. Now coming on to our actual units, away from the characters, first up we have the Wolf Rats, and these guys come in 2 varieties, regular and poison. And the only difference is the poison ones lose the magical attacks for poison, and the armor piercing damage for more overall weapon damage. So basically they're better at taking out chaff than they are at taking out things that have armor. The Wolf Rats in general, they are very similar to most dog/wolf units, but might be a little bit better purely because they have that armor piercing damage. Now, the magical attacks make them good at taking out anything that has any physical resist, and the light AP means that they can actually fight units that aren't already running away and do a halfway decent job. So overall, pretty strong, but still, you know, a wolf unit, so they're not going to be taking on great swords anytime soon. But aside from that, they're pretty similar. They're really good at running units down. Units like this, as I always say, when something is retreating, to stick these on them, they will evaporate them. They are fantastic at that, so that's exactly how you should use them. Now, the next unit is the Brood Horror, and it's basically a massive wolf rat. And this thing is ridiculously fast for its size. A unit this large normally, you know, doesn't have speed that tops like 60 or 70. This guy gets like 90. It's ridiculous. He is so speedy, and he is literally terrifying. Yeah, he causes terror, so anything that he comes into contact with is going to have their leadership severely diminished simply by it being there. He also deals massive armor-piercing poison damage, so on top of, you know, debuffing them with poison, he's also going straight through any armor and annihilating anything he goes into contact with. These guys are great. He also has regeneration. These guys are great. In conclusion, basically just a badass that is quite like a Dragon Ogre Shaggoth, since it has a massive size and does massive damage while still having great speed, which makes for a very, very strong, maybe overpowered unit, but we'll have to wait and see. Now, our final base unit that we are getting is the Mutant Rat Ogres, and these guys are basically a singular massive Rat Ogre, and that's pretty much it. You know, they're just a big Rat Ogre. They're better in every single stat apart from armor, and even then they have physical resist, so, you know, they lose armor, but they get resistance to all damage on a flat basis anyway, so they're great for sticking into a clump alongside infantry to do some big boy damage. They work kind of like Gorich, but they're nowhere near as strong as him because that guy is legendary. But yeah, use them in pretty much the same situations, stick them in melee with some infantry, and I think they'll do just fine. Now, the final thing you are getting with the Clan Moulder DLC expansion, whatever you want to call it, is some new Regiments of Renown. First up, you are getting the Pit Fighters of Hell's Deep, which are a Rat Ogres unit. They are immune to psychology and have the Berserker ability. You get Morse Guitar's Hellion, which is a mutant Rat Ogre unit. They get Zap Imbued Attacks, which adds 10 seconds to ability recharge, and they also have the Warp Discharge ability. And finally, we have the Thing, great name, which is a Helper's Abomination, and it gets poison damage and the Fluid Injection ability. That concludes everything. Tell me, how excited are you for Moulder? What unit are you most excited to use? Tell me in the comments down below. I'm really interested to hear. If you did enjoy this video, then be sure to hit that like button. I'd really appreciate it oh so very much. And if you want to see more content like this, you know, as I said, I do only have 2 videos left, but I have a whole backlog of content on this DLC for you to binge until that comes out. So, you know, as I said, links in the description to the playlist, and if you want to catch the rest of the content, then be sure to subscribe, because that will ensure that you do not miss a video. Take control of what you are watching and click that subscribe button, and I would appreciate it very much. Yes, I believe that concludes everything, so for now, I've been Colonel Damneders, and I will see you tomorrow again. Oh boy.